Hello.
Hey, boo.
Howdy, boo.
We're far away from home.
We're very far from home.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Do I have any LA natives here?
Hey.
Yeah. Hi, New Yorkers.
You are all seen. We see
Yes.
you. Yeah. Word. Well, thank you so much for having us, and like we're stoked to be here. You know, not to speak for you, but like I think the vibe is stoked. Yeah.
I mean, I'm living my Carrie Bradshaw. I was listening to my friend Marisa came to my hotel room and I was listening to jazz and she was like, I was expecting to walk in and see you smoking a cigar or something. I'm Mr. Big for the week.
Yes, that's what. Yo, I just had the flu and I was binging 5 seasons of Sex in the City whilst having the flu. And like, look, it's white as fuck, but it still holds up. Like, there's a lot of gold to be mined from this fantasy of New York, where we're living like that.
And living on a writer's budget and wearing all the designers' clothes. Like,
Girl,
who?
Look,
I can't even shop at Torrid with what I make.
Honestly, because Shorty, I remember one episode where it was like, yeah, my Manolo Blahniks, my $400 Manolo Blahniks, but they said how much she had in her checking. And I'm like, that just don't add up. You got 500 in your checking, and you spent 400 on the shoes. And this is why this doesn't exist.
Debt. And they just don't tell us that we have to sell our souls to be able to look good.
Because they don't want us to win. They don't want us
to
win. It's really a tragedy.
And I know that they said sorry that it's so packed, but we're not sorry.
No.
It's an honor to be able to come so far away from home. Like, literally, this is the farthest you can get from LA. And to see such a beautiful turnout for us, we're so grateful. So thank you for being here.
On this rainy night, this rain-swept night.
Yeah, so we're going to read some stuff for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off with, I'm going to read from I Be But I Ain't, which is a trip. Like, coming back here, the Airbnb I'm at is on the same street I lived on when I lived here. And this poem I'm going to read for y'all is when I lived in that apartment that had so many roaches and other various bugs that I was set to kill. And this is a poem about killing one of those many, many bugs. And I'm not messy, like I'm clean, you know, but the apartment had bugs. My mom asked me to say that every time I read this poem. She's like, Aziza, you gonna read the poem about the bugs? They're gonna think you nasty. But y'all understand, so we can tell my mom, you know, a bitch is clean. All right. How to Kill a House Centipede by squishing it behind a photo of Rhiannon McGavin while contemplating various iterations of rigor mortis in my gentrified apartment complex on 750 McDonough Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11233. It does appear to be a strain itself. Viral of some design, even violent with symmetry, each set of legs leading up to more sets of legs, and I don't know how to greet it, how to kindly suggest it get the fuck out my house, or lead me to where it multiplies. Is there a nest of these, a hive of these? What do these call each other when in a large amorphous congregation? Do these fall in love and mate, or mate and hatch? Which is further from what I know? Sometimes I can't tell the human preference, and yes, it is the farthest thing from a person, though it could burrow in me if I allowed it, or even if I didn't allow it, which makes it exactly like certain human qualities again, burrow through somewhere that requires synapse before a holler out can occur. An ear canal, for example, a nostril, for example, a non-consenting passage, you know the type, conquered. When I am too happy, I catch a fever and have to lie down, throw my arms into an unbearable position, what we talk about when we talk about the shape we leave this world in. And yes, I suppose I am that interested in the body defeated, or the body striving to say something new about itself, like the position saints die in, neck craned, arms crossed, legs crossed, how they don't decompose. And yes, part of me is ugly enough to want to be a saint, which means I will never be a saint, never die with all my limbs neatly drawn, and I can't say I'd be an amenable corpse, or that you would know how to greet me and my 2 tattoos, perhaps a third before I'm burnt and thrown. And yes, I hope to be burnt and thrown, not for any spiritual reason, unless claustrophobia is a spiritual reason. I wake up screaming from dreams of waking up underground between Mississippi, Ohio, Montreal, a thumb, white, and no, I can't say I thought of anyone when I did it. When I saw 4 antennae lead a long insect across the wall above my desk, not the base of my wrist, popping against a paper version of Rhiannon McGavin, her gray hand on her gray pencil dress, a woman who sang sometimes with her eyes closed and sometimes not. And yes, it is this that I find least human, to sing without your eyes open, like sleeping next to someone you love. It is a symmetry of faith, a nest of this, a hive of this, an amorphous congregation of this. So it is likely easy to kill if you can locate the source. And yes, I thought, when one of the antennae dropped, the other left to twitch without audible pattern, stuck as a corpse to a woman who was often not allowed to leave or forced to stay very far from where she began. I guess you call that exile, which is something I do understand. I thought a colonizer's thought, not I'm sorry or I shouldn't have killed it, but if I don't kill it now, how will I find it again? Yay. Thank you. Death and bugs. Just something to know as you read my work. There will be death, there will be bugs. So now this is from The Blind Pig. It's my first novel. It's pretty experimental little ditty. It's shiny. You see it's shiny? All right. And then my nails are kind of shiny to go with the book. I was hoping it would be noticed. And I'm just going to read a couple sections from it because it is prose. It'll like go on for a bit. So like don't feel pressured to like clap immediately. There's going to be some time, and I appreciate you. Yeah, okay. What had happened was a glitch. Ancestral nerve ridden to the point of madness. What had happened? A deer and an armadillo kick it on a Mississippi porch, rain coming down. Glitch. There's a you and I, another name entirely. 2. There's saint, not who you pray to, but whose offerings allow you to survive. Glitch. When you're in your dad's apartment growing up. His mother sings La Boheme on the fire escape, no escape for her. Glitch. A comedy store. 2 a.m. peaking. An afro glistens under club lights. Sweat of the father and his father, an implantation whole of them. Glitch. Sankofa, I guess, when I'm an I. Tough bird to hit with any number of stones. Glitch. English. A language crippled with the lazy poetry of idioms and no feeling. Glitch. No windows. Casino-like. It's a mental hospital. You didn't lose your mind. You became it. Infinitely worse. Glitch. It was so hot there were dead roaches. I love you, and then it got roaches. You had a lot of last name going on, and I woke up bleeding through linens. A rack of ribs is the style I bleed out on linens with. A messy bitch when I feel ignored or like staying alive. 2 tumblers of champagne and tits out if I want. I wake up with dirt, caked, lined as in caulking between skin and nail. I can't stay awake without breaking my heart. I break into houses, change my name for an interval, see how the other half tastes. The first time I felt a chill on my face in months. The white man who lives in my head, not far from the white man who lives in a slave castle and would point from a balcony down to a black someone, and that day she would feel water on her body, smell like an ocean she couldn't see for his, for him, for a crippled arch, and rush to the end of the world. Took a swig of Jim Beam and a choir of yielded crops sprung out my chest, where the blonde hairs grow, a dark omen from the nothing black about me comment section. I lose weight in my feet and watch videos of white children shooting deer for the first time. There's no such thing as a fixed location. The deer cocks her head at the child step towards him, loosens the thrill of her name. I believe you love me until I'm sitting in a bar, fluorescent purple, and I know you're thinking of someone you lived with before. I fuck you until somewhere she is a meter high. A man in Mississippi sees me when I'm walking in Bed-Stuy. I'm just a ghost, niggas, and he's more sure of my body than I am. Smoke socket, liquor bound. I am my grandfather's cursed extension. I am nothing if not my colonizer's bastard cum. I am nothing but. I am warm and riddled with life. Occasionally a deer will walk in front of my porch. Occasionally albino lizards crawl into my home and die. I know this is my dad begging. A skeleton isn't hard to wait for. You just have to clear your schedule. It's tax season and flu season, and I don't say cotton. It's offensive, and the men sometimes have hands so big my throat lengthens, choke me out, and when I pick up air, someone will be left knocking the blonde field. The eye is unreliable. Has a birthright with an ugly clinical name, so let's just skip it. You are intimidated by how much pain a body can hold. Your father sings you to sleep on the nights he doesn't play Ken Burns' Civil War tapes, the sounds of slaves bellowing Jacob's ladder, the recitation of Union and Confederate soldiers' letters home. Mosquito bites and ant colonies converge on your fingers under your bed. He's not a bad man. He's just a man, and that is sometimes hate enough. You tell him one day that he's not technically an African American because his lineage doesn't go to slave ships, doesn't hail from Ghana and the great Khan of the millennia, the first slim door of no return. Your father yells at you, says he's as black as you are, and even in the diatribe that follows from him, you know you're right and he's less right. He's hidden his iteration of blackness, otherness in your mother, whose people come from Ohio by way of Virginia, by way of a boat from a part of West Africa that remains unsayable because that fascist regime kept poor or no records. When he sings you to sleep, it's a song asking rhetorically, what do you dream? The ants underneath your bed are from the time you ate a Granny Smith apple at night and didn't want to leave your room to go to the kitchen in the dark just to throw it away. You wake up to a line of black legs and antennae making hill and canyon of you, of your sister. Later in life, around the time you claim your father is another kind of black, you recognize the presence of insects in your home as a call to the end of days, terrestrially and of your mind, a signal to a certain inheritance, a collection of names to address your brain, now that every canal and neural pathway synapse has chemically gone awry. Your dad says it comes from your mother's side, the African American side. He doesn't specify. I hear the Rhine Valley is explicit most times of the year. Since World War, what number again? The number for again. We keep doing it. And we is, you know who, is the they, is the againers, the just one more time cohort of fuckdom and fascism. I was 5 when my mom got her first set of all white couches, never exhumed them from their plastic. Some things are better when suffocated. A couch is not one of these things. Things are not breath workers. I should not be able to be lodged in plastic. My mama has pneumonia today, a fever of 103 degrees, which was lower than the temperature outside my cousin's graduation in Las Vegas when I was 12, and by then thoroughly molested and worn to the nub of my own hands that failed. They touched the leather interior of my dad's Lexus, my 2 failures connected to my wrists in the same car I once hallucinated 6 spiders growing out of and into each other after my left hand was impaled by a small wooden stick too large to truly be a splinter, how my sister and I hated an odd number, decided ugly them all, but 3, a divinity, a church, and there were 3 white couches, not one of which that neighbor touched me on. God bless the plastic magnitude of the zombie child. When my sister almost died of pneumonia at 2, I was jealous. Why does she get to die? Her lungs lined and plastered full. I was so lonely. I almost prayed my molester would stop by just to stare at me until I became a piece of white, embalmed again. The eye is fixated, but not endeared to explanation. The eye is not attracted, but in a polarity locked onto a few moments in the eye's existence. Hi, eye. You are confused entirely by men who dress up even seasonally appropriately as Santa Claus. Eating steak in the morning is American, with eggs American, with orange juice or vodka American. You are American with a caveat. You get anxious in the middle of days that are considered, even by your own standards, joyful. The current understanding you've acquired is each revelation of selfhood is a door of no return, is you going from captivity, a jailed uselessness, to a slave of another God. And this is the hope of evolution, going from smelling the imagined ocean to boarding a boat atop it, a journey however removed from your own command, then becoming American as orange juice, as Santa Claus, as seasons. The more you know yourself, the farther you are from anything you've ever understood. You grow slimmer entering each door, leaving the salt sack cities you once read your name into, hearing the swift echo of pronouncement. Often you are positive that there are 5 of you at a card table dressed in red velvet competing for the official narrative of your life. Poker is played, bourbon is in glass tumblers had, the soft texture stretching over each body committed to stains and wear. They yell, a bray kin to each auntie and grandmother in the bloodline only invested purely in cruelty. Their nails, talons, barefoot black Joan Crawfords calling you a useless bitch, a hot mess, a too much, a that nigga won't love you, a you'll just fuck it all up, a you fat and it's not cute because you got a little frame and the like. You swear it was 10 a.m. just 2 seconds ago, and now it's 1:38 p.m. and you can't understand it. The five of you scream in your head as you walk in your black socks, the ones with the words no nonsense stitched into them, into the delicate rain, a water unusual to you. Who owns you now? Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Wait, did I go? Oh no, here I am.
Wait.
Hi.
Okay.
My butt was vibrating like through your thing, and I was just like, I'm listening. Hi, everybody in the back. Can you hear us? Can you hear me well? I think my microphone's a little bit lower than Z's. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. If my lipstick, Daniel, tell me if my lipstick's all over my face. Okay. I love your book. Both of them.
It loves you back. Thank you.
I'm a proud auntie.
Yay.
Okay. A beginning. I was born, and sometimes I want that to be all the story there is to tell. I was born and there was a parade or a fiesta, and mommy came home in a gown and I was the corsage on her wrist. Papi chugged down a beer, stuck two fingers in his mouth and whistled. My tias laughed, tios drank. The cousins old enough to hold me passed me along, one pair of hands to the next. She's here. She's here. La niña is finally here. If only that were it, but my story had just begun. So this you staring at me is not going to work. I need to interact with y'all. It makes me uncomfortable when you're quiet. So please help me. So if anything moves you, you're allowed to clap. Usually I say stomp, but there's people, well, whatever, let's scare them. You could stomp. You can yell something back at me. Be like, girl, leave him, fuck him, whatever. If you catch the Holy Spirit, there's aisles here. I grew up Catholic, and I would go to charismatic masses, and everybody would catch the Spirit, and I wouldn't, but I'd still throw myself on the floor. So, I'm not telling you to do that, but if you feel like it.
Are you? A little bit?
A little bit. Just to make me feel better.
Yeah.
I was 7 years old the first time a poem got me in trouble. It was about my father punching my mother. It was true, but sometimes the truth is also a lie. Sometimes it doesn't set you free. It sets you up for your father calling you Judas the rest of your life. My father taught me to love words, to read everything I could get my hands on. My father taught me words have feet. Say the wrong one and it'll run as far as it can, announcing itself. A word stops being yours once you say it. I did not stop writing poems. I am running too. I go far ahead of myself. On sheets, on screens, I am now in places I have never been. I say this must be freedom. So, I recognize a mango right here in the front. How many of you all know what a mango? A mango for me, not like the fruit, but like a mango. And thank you so much for being so supportive on a rainy day. In LA, when it rains, everything shuts down. So, right, if that happened in LA, there'd be like 10 of them here.
No, I mean, people forget that life goes on when there's water from the sky.
Huh? People forget how to drive,
Nobody know how to act.
Nobody knows. In LA, like everything floods with like sprinkles. And it's a valid excuse to not go to work. You'll be like, I can't go to work. Melrose is flooded. And they're like, what? Okay. And they just believe you. The first time I smoked weed was in the name of love. Ricardo was a cholito with eyelashes that curled on their own, and I was down to do anything for him. It was third period when we both leaned our heads over an apple turnpike. He talked me through the inhale. I looked up into his eyes, almost forgetting to exhale. We hid in the baseball field until the bell rang. When he walked to class, I did not know if I was high or if I was floating, maybe both. We got to algebra class, and Ricardo leaned in through the fog, and I heard him say, hook me up with your homegirl. I was back on earth and in my fat girl body again. The apple should have given it away. Tag him, somebody. Did I tell you about the time that I was dying? About my uterus and how it wouldn't stop bleeding? The doctors blaming my fatness and me agreeing. Did I tell you about the times I couldn't get dressed because I was more crime scene than anything? About this bloody curse, the stains on couches, showers, underwear, bus seats, the black paste of my sex, my vulva, a wound that wouldn't heal. I almost lost myself once, ounce by ounce once. I ended up in an emergency room and the doctors couldn't understand how I had let it go that long. How I didn't think anything was wrong. They found a growth hemorrhaging. I never saw it, but I imagine it looked like an urn, like that thing that took my father's ashes. The last place I ever saw him, the doctors paraded in and out, reaching between my legs, dozens of men pulling my lips apart, shaking their heads, and I thought, I've been here before. On a back, on my bed, a man disappointed. My mother called relatives telling them I was sick, referred to my vagina as down there, the beast that can't be named, the sin that must be whispered, a red river down my legs, a soiled gown, a dirty secret, and I stopped dying then. It took a while. First came the blood transfusion, then the clamps clawing open my cervix, me strapped to a bed screaming in pain, thinking a woman who endure this, but it isn't to keep them alive, instead to make them a little more dead. How lucky I was. My body more forgiving than I. Why was I so afraid of her? Why didn't I trust us? Hadn't we buried my father a year before and made it out intact? Hadn't we put down our fists and given up the bruises? Hadn't death asked us over and over if we were sure we wanted to stay? Hadn't we said yes every time? Didn't it try to take us anyway? Didn't we stay alive? Aren't we alive? My body said, alive, listen to me. Are you not alive? And I started renaming parts of myself, calling them what they needed to be called. My sex, my pussy, my jewel, my sweet fruit, my loved orchid, my come here lover. Come celebrate that I am alive, that I once almost wasn't. Come taste what staying is like. Dark humor. Say the word dead enough and it becomes a joke. My father is dead. Spill it into a table during a date and watch the cheeks flush. My father is dead. Unfolded like a chair when asked if your parents are proud of your career. My father is dead, 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 and the room flinches. The lights dim. You laugh the kind of laugh that tastes like sandpaper but fills a silence. You continue telling whatever story you were telling. It's fine. We're all going to die eventually. Ha, ha. That, like, when you're on a date and you tell people, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, they don't know what to do after that. I'm like, it's okay. You didn't kill him. Like, and then that becomes awkward, too, because you're like, can I laugh at that? Sorry, this holding the microphone thing is throwing me off, but I don't want to stand at the podium. Okay. Your parents say goodbye while they're still sitting at the dinner table. And they stand with the keys in their hands and say it again. Then they move to the door and then they say it some more. And then the driveway. When the car turns on, your Theo leans a hand on the window and they keep saying goodbye. Mommy forgets something and runs back inside and they all stand by the car some more. And you fall asleep a little bit. You wake up and they're still there. You go back out of the car to play with your cousins. Papi calls you back in. Theo smacks the car one time really hard and Thea waves. You know it's time for you to leave for real. Finally. You wish you had kept saying goodbye a little bit longer. When you grow up and you are a full adult, in love, and love goes sour, you threaten to leave. You sit at the table and say, I am gone. Some days pass and you stand with your keys in your hand. You swear you're going to do it. Weeks later, you make it to the door, say goodbye some more. Make it to the driveway, your lover leans in. Promises the right things with one hand on your thigh. You linger, but you swear it's only for a little. Grow numb and forget about breaking up. It's like you fall asleep. You settle into staying. You're all in again. But then you remember why you have to go. This time it is real. Finally, you are gone. But you wish your goodbye had taken a little bit longer. See, I fooled y'all. Y'all thought we were going to laugh? Okay. Are we good? We're getting there. I ate his ass because I loved him. There you go. That's the new movement we're getting behind. I don't know. I gave myself lockjaw sucking dick. I swallowed the bitter cum and nodded when he asked whatever he asked. Sorry if you thought this was like a stuffy event. I let him eat my pussy all wrong, for I moaned in the name of romance. I arched my back, pulled him in for a kiss. His heart was in the right place. Later, I laughed at my friends, and I don't know exactly what the joke was. His awful sex, or me neglecting my body and calling it love. All right, I'm only going to read 2 more, and then we're going to talk, okay? We good? It might be 3 more, sorry, but they're short. When you come checking on me, know that I haven't fallen into the fire. I picked myself up and said, I can still do it without him. When I heard you had a new girlfriend, I didn't imagine her body. I didn't wish my own away. Instead, I worked, planned, opened a savings account, wrote, smoked on cold nights, drank on good nights. I cut off 12 inches of my hair. I took pictures, booked a cruise, flew to San Francisco late in bed with white sheets. I called men I had stopped calling when I loved you. Bought jewelry, took myself to dinner, the movies alone, a bar alone, went to concerts with friends, stood close to the stage, sang loud with my face to the sky, my skin as soft as you left it. When you come checking on me, when your palms itch at the sound of my name, know that I haven't fallen into the fire. Instead, I became it. Some of you are going through it, because I keep hearing like, yes. It happens to all of us. Let's say it worked. You became boyfriend, that became husband. I had the babies and named them after planets. We built a house out of straw. You kept your bottles. I kept everything else. We tied our relationship out in the yard with our parents. 2 angry dogs that bark day and night. You still hold me like I can break. And I still cry during sex. But it's love, you and I. We are a mess, you and I. Let's say it worked. We got the life I planned for us. You work all day, and I don't write anymore. I don't travel. I raise the kids. I keep my anger. You keep your drinking. The dogs bark so loud, I can't hear you. The dogs bark so loud, we stop kissing. The dogs bark so loud, you start looking like my father. I leave like your mother. Let's say it worked. We kept each other. Along the way, we ruined everything else. Sometimes you wonder what you're fighting to keep, right? All right, so because I was going to finish on another poem, but I think y'all need this. This is called the jacaranda tree, and it's the tree on the cover. In LA, these trees are all over the place, and on my block, they line my street. That has nothing with the poem, but just so you know. I just want my own place. Somewhere to burn sage. I want to play my music loud. Have it sweep the floors for me. Want mangoes and avocados on my table. Walls the color of ripe fruit. couches soft as a lover's belly. I want to keep the door open, a small garden outside, a jacaranda tree just beyond the fence. I want to hear the highway in the distance. Mistake its roar for the ocean. I want the ocean nearby. Mistake its whistle for highway. I want windows with no blinds, yawning into a night sky, tear streaked on rainy afternoons. I want books on every surface. A kitchen that smells like coffee because I don't cook. Pots and plates that clink together. An oven full of skillets and pans, my niece and nephew's drawings on the fridge. I want a bear that was born a dog asleep beneath my desk. I want to call him something silly like baby or tiny. I want picture frames on all the shelves. A phone ringing every afternoon with my mother's voice. Candles I light when I am joyful or melancholy. Most of all, I want to find a home that isn't you, that isn't us, that isn't that quiet room where we died, where I left all hope of you coming back, announcing that you choose me after all. Instead, I want my own place. And doesn't that sound so damn nice? Thank you. Thank you, thank you.